What's up guys, my name is Dan with Joe's Gaming and Electronics, and today I'm going to be showing you how to replace the screen on a Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 Active. This is going to include the SM-R860, the 865, the 870, and the 875 model watches. And today we're going to be showing you how to remove the screen off of the housing of the watch. The glue that Samsung uses is extremely tough and very difficult to remove. However, today we're going to be showing you how to do that job and to make your life a little bit easier. So to get started, you're going to need a couple of tools to begin with. You can find all these tools at joesge.com. First off, we have our pry tool. Then you're going to need this to pull off your back cover. You're going to have a couple of screwdrivers. We have a Y 2.0 and a flathead. Any flathead will do. Right now I have our Joe's 1.5 millimeter flathead screwdriver. We're also going to need a spudger for our connections. We're going to need a couple Q-tips, our Joe's RTV screen glue, and some alcohol. And then finally our specialty tool here. We're going to be using this new screen removal tool developed by Joe's GE. It's going to help us remove the screen without damaging it, without cracking it. That's one of the biggest issues when attempting to remove the screen. A lot of times they crack, but this increases the surface area on the screen and allows us to remove the screen without any sort of damage. First things first, we're going to take our watch that we're going to be taking our screen from, and we're going to completely disassemble it. We're going to begin with our Y 2.0 screwdriver and remove 4 of the screws that are holding the back cover. So we're going to apply some pressure and unscrew these screws. Okay, once we got our 4 screws removed, we're going to grab one of our Q-tips, get it into a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and drench our little holes, our screw holes, with alcohol. This is going to allow our seal to loosen up a bit and allow us to remove the back cover a little easier. So drench it in alcohol, grab a pry tool, and I like to pry it right where our little microphone hole is. This will ensure that we're not going to damage any ribbons or anything underneath. So go in, pry up, and it should lift up. After that, we just evenly and gently pull up. We're going to grab our little spudger tool. We're going to be careful because we have a ribbon connected right here. This is our heart rate sensor and our charger ribbon. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect that very carefully using our plastic spudger. It's got it disconnected. We're going to set that off to the side. Next thing, we're going to take out our motherboard, internal housing, and battery all in one go. Next thing we're going to do is disconnect our screen ribbon. This will allow us to remove the motherboard, internal housing, and battery all in one go. So once we got that out, we're going to grab a metal screwdriver and pry up on the internal housing. That'll allow us to remove all the internal components. Just pry anywhere where there's plastic. That way we don't damage the motherboard or any ribbons. Be careful, be very careful in this process because we could end up damaging something if you're not careful. So there we go. We have our whole bundle removed all together. Just set that off to the side. Finally, we reach the step where we need to use our pry tool, our special little tool here. First, we're going to apply some alcohol onto a Q-tip and allow the alcohol to seep into the seal. This will loosen up our seal and make it a little bit easier for us to remove the screen. We're going to allow that to sit for a little bit. Once we have allowed this to sit for a second, we're going to need to get a heat gun and set it at about 200 Celsius, no higher than that. We don't want to damage the screen. We're going to apply heat in a steady, even application all around the screen for a solid 30 seconds. We don't want to We don't want to keep the heat in one spot. We want to keep it moving so that we don't risk damaging the LCD. We're trying to save this screen. All right. We're gonna go ahead and flip that upside down. Insert our little tool, the button cutouts. We're gonna put them towards the button side. It's gonna drop right on in. I'm gonna flip this upside down and just gently apply pressure downwards. We see it popped right out. There we go. Nice and easy. And we just pull the pry tool back out. There's a pry tool, and our screen is good to go. We have a little, we can set this housing off to the side. We have a little rubber seal that Samsung uses. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. There we go. And we're gonna get our new housing that we're gonna be applying this to and get it ready to go. So first things first, we're gonna clean it all up with some alcohol. Get our mating surfaces all good and ready to go, cleaned up. We don't want any dirt or contaminants to be there. Once we got that, we're gonna apply, clean up our screen. All right, now that we got our surfaces clean, we're gonna go ahead and get our Joe's RTV glue, and we're gonna apply it on the housing all around in an even pattern. And go ahead and take your time on this. This needs to be very steady. If you do this properly, it's gonna minimize the cleanup time. We wanna apply a solid bead all the way around. All right, now we're done applying our RTV glue. Next thing, we're gonna go ahead and place our screen onto our RTV glue. We're gonna want to set up our buttons on the right side. Our buttons on the right side on the right hand. The button, the ribbon for the screen is gonna be facing downwards towards me. I'm gonna just go ahead, lift up the housing a little bit and drop that screen right on in. There's gonna be some RTV seeping around from the edges. That's okay, we're gonna clean that up in a little bit. But there we go. We have a solid seal all the way around the screen. Watch out for this RTV, it does get pretty messy if you're not careful. Next, we're gonna allow it to sit for a couple minutes and cure and just catch on. All right, after we let this glue sit for a couple minutes, we're gonna go ahead and pick it up and take a look at our ribbon on the back side. We're gonna wanna make sure our ribbon is centered in between the divot, in between this little box here and that little box there, so that it's not offset to the side like that or to like that. You want it to be directly in the center, approximately like that. Now, once you're done with that, you're gonna wanna go ahead, grab your microfiber cloth, get a little bit of rubbing alcohol in there, and clean up any excess RTV glue. Do it now, it's gonna go ahead and save your hands later on from getting way too much on them. And we're gonna clean it up a little bit more later. This is just a very basic cleanup so that we can make this job a lot easier. Alrighty, next up, we're just back onto the reassembly process. We're just gonna grab our internal housing and our motherboard. We're gonna go ahead and just slot that guy in. We're gonna prop in the button side first and then just go ahead and click it in. There you go. Once that's in, we can go ahead, reconnect the LCD. Gonna hear a nice little click. There we go. Make sure all the buttons are connected, all the connections are tight. For that, we're gonna get our housing, our back cover assembly, and we're gonna connect up the ribbon. This is a little bit more tricky Can't really show it in the video, but you need to lean the housing over to the side so that you can press down the ribbon and reconnect it. You're also going to hear a slight satisfying click when it connects, like so. Good. We're going to go to reconnect that, click it right on in. Next we're going to put in our screws for the back cover. Once again, grab our Y 2.0 screwdriver and screw in the screws. Alrighty, there we go. We got all the screws back in, nice and tight. Next thing is we're going to want to give this watch a nice cleaning and get all of the excess RTV off of the watch. We don't want to let it dry before we take it off. We want to first take everything off. So we're going to once again grab our microfiber cloth, get a good amount of rubbing alcohol in there, and just have at it, clean it all up, make it nice and shiny. Alrighty, there we go. We got our screen installed. All right, last step, we're going to want to go ahead and get some clamps. These are small vice clamps. You can have any sort of clamp, even a rubber band would work, but preferably want to have a clamp like this. It's got rubber pads not to damage the screen or the housing. So we want to go ahead and slide in the watch, loosen it up a little bit, get the watch in there and apply a little bit of pressure. We don't want to overdo it. We just want the screen, the RTV glue, to dry to the screen and the housing well. I'm going to go ahead and put this on both sides. That way we get an even pressure. Once again, don't overdo it because you could damage the LCD. There we go. Now we're going to allow this to dry for several hours and we'll get back to you once it's ready to go. Alrighty guys, we're back and our watch is ready to go. The RTV glue has cured. We let a couple hours go by and it's all ready to go. You're going to want to make sure you allow enough time for the glue to cure all the way. At this point, you can give it another good cleaning and throw your bands back on and you're ready to go.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you guys love what we do, please support us. You guys can click on the links that we have on the end screen. You guys can buy parts, sales, or service so we can continue to make great videos for you guys for many more years. Thank you.